It's time again for Warmies. And we're here on this Wednesday evening, a little bit later than usual. Boy, oh boy, what a night it is turning into here in Calgary. Something's in the air. I don't know what it was. On my way to the studio, I witnessed not one, not two, but 3 car accidents on the way here. It was an absolute crazy commute, and we're here. We're ready to go for Warmies. Wow. I am totally in shock at what we're already witnessing tonight. We'll see if tonight's game for the Calgary Flames is as much of a car wreck as what we were seeing on Crowchild Trail tonight. Thank goodness there's a shoulder on that road, or else we might not have done a Warmies here tonight. Holy smokes. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for being in the chat here. Can anybody hear me? Anand Unatan is saying he can't hear me. My buddy Anand. Anand, is your speaker on? I think everybody else can hear me. But we love you for being here with us tonight, Anand, as the Flames getting set for taking on the Buffalo Sabres, one of the bottom teams in the Eastern Conference, going up against the bottom team in the entire National Hockey League. And of course, we're coming to you live from the Sports Interaction Studio here on this Wednesday evening. Folks, our opening segment brought to you by Sports Interaction Sportsbook and Casino. Every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. From puck drop to overtime, bet with Canada's homegrown sportsbook. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. We kind of talked a little smack yesterday about the Flames being the betting favorites against Chicago, and quite frankly, they probably shouldn't have been, especially with the way that game went. The Flames are not the favorites tonight. Michael, I think we've got them. The spread tonight at plus 1.5. The Flames at plus 130 on the money line. I don't know. The Sabres have won back-to-back games. They've beaten some good teams, and also the Oilers. So we'll see how exactly it shakes out. The Flames have made some lineup changes tonight as well. I don't know if it's going to necessarily help them become a better offensive team overnight. The interesting thing, though, in tonight's game, and we'll get to this before we even get to the lineups, is a battle of two relatively untested goaltenders. Colton Ellis is making the start for Buffalo tonight, going up against Devin Cooley for the Flames. And both these guys have had pretty good results in small sample sizes this season. Ellis is 3-1-0 with a .914 save percentage in 4 games with the Buffalo Sabres. And, of course, Devin Cooley, one of the top statistical goaltenders in the entire National Hockey League, with a .935 save percentage and a 1.75 goals against average. He's only made a couple of starts, but he's done well. He's only allowed 7 goals over 5 games. Still hasn't gotten a win, though. 0-2-1 this season with the Calgary Flames is Devin Cooley, and he gets the start between the pipes today for the Calgary Flames. The Flames making a couple of changes, as you might expect after yesterday's loss. Johnny Beecher, claimed off waivers from the Boston Bruins yesterday afternoon, is in Buffalo, and he will make his Flames debut tonight. We do have the lineups, or the lines for the Flames. Beecher on the 4th line with Sam Morton and Adam Klapka. Beecher will wear number 18, the first Flame to wear that number since fellow waiver claim AJ Greer. The rest remains largely the same for the forward group. Quite frankly, I don't mind it staying the same. I think yesterday had a little bit more to do with the goaltending in certain respects. But we'll see. Yeah, Beecher, Morton, and Klapka, that's an interesting group. The interesting storyline here is Ryan Lomberg coming out of the lineup. His first healthy scratch of the season. We haven't seen this, really, with Ryan Lomberg. He's been given a lot of leeway by this coaching staff. But by a certain point, you have to sort of say, objectively speaking, what is Ryan Lomberg contributing? 1 assist in 21 games. You need a little bit more, I think. And if the contention is Lomberg provides the energy needed to help the Flames win, well, they haven't been winning. So I don't disagree with making that change. Of course, a lot of people are going to point to, Sharon Govich and Frost and Kadri and the guys who were -2, -3 in yesterday's game. And I don't disagree that some of those guys should probably not be immune from criticism or scratching either. I mean, there are There's lots of blame to go around for this Flames team, but I do think it was due for Lomberg to be the next guy out. And so interesting to see that. But holy moly, we were talking about it yesterday on the post-game show and even on the pre-game show. Some of these guys are just having miserable seasons. Not even like both miserable in terms of the way they're playing and also miserable in terms of it's just being compounded by the way that things are breaking against them. And it's just the way she goes. Last night's game, some of the goals against Dustin Wolf were not goals that we are accustomed to see. And the same guys were on the ice for a lot of those goals against. And it wasn't really on them, but at a certain point, these goaltenders get tuckered out. And we were talking so often about Dustin Wolf. Why is he playing this much? Well, it's a back-to-back situation. You want to get both goaltenders playing. And it is good to see Devin Cooley getting another swing at it here tonight. Jake Bean is out for the Flames on defense tonight as they go with a couple of different looks on the blue line. Of course, Kevin Ball and Rasmus Andersson remaining together. Andersson scored a goal, had an assist in yesterday's game, continues to up his trade value. We'll see where things go with that. One change that is not represented on this graphic. This is a change from warm-ups, which are going on right now, hence the name of the show, Warmies, which was not my selection, but it is the name of the show. Jake Bean is not going to be in tonight. Joel Hanley will take his spot along with Braden Bahal on the third pairing. So a bit of a change. Don't mind seeing that. And that's pretty much it for the Flames tonight. Let's go back to the earlier segment that we have talked about a lot on this show. Can Trader Inc. is in the chat here today saying first-timer Warmies. And Can Trader, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for tuning in on this Wednesday evening. And just to bring you up to speed here, Warmies is an unimpeachable name for this show. Everybody likes it. But we are actively taking suggestions for nicknames for this show. So Can Trader and everybody else in the chat, why don't you keep thinking up some alternatives? I like the Fire Drill. I think that's a solid nickname for this show. Again, nothing is ever usurping the Warmies, but whatever you got, just throw them in the chat. And hey, we had a super chat last night. We confirmed the validity of it after the show. A $399.99 super chat. And that's a record as far as we're concerned here at Flames Nation. It was pretty incredible. Folks, feel free to lob in the super chats on the Warmies as well. They all go to the youth centers of Calgary either way, and whatever you put in the chat, we'll be sure to read here on this edition and any future editions of the Warmies. So thanks for that. The Eastern Conference is a lot more congested than the West has been to this point in the season. The Flames and the Blues and the Predators have all sort of sunk below the rest over in the West where we are. But out East, the Buffalo Sabres have 18 points this season. And that puts them still right in the thick of things. They're at 18. Toronto's at 20. Washington, which is up 2-0 over Edmonton right now, is also at 20. Florida's at 21. You might have heard of them. They won the last 2 Stanley Cups. Philly's at 21. The Rangers are at 22. There's a lot of teams at 22. It is an absolute sandwich of these teams just all clustered up. And the Sabres, I'm looking, I think I'm going to have a piece on them tomorrow at Daily Faceoff. They are a fascinating group. I don't believe they're getting Josh Norris back tonight. Not entirely certain. We're just waiting to see if he was going to take the skate today. But let's have a look at the Sabres lineup for today's game, because honestly, I think it's a little better than it gets credit for. Josh Doan, Tage Thompson, Alex Tuck, that's a pretty darn good top line. Tage has been playing on the wing for a lot of this season to date, and they've shifted him back to center over the last few games, and he's looked just worlds better down the middle. Doan and Tuck, I mean, Tuck is a very reliable player in the final year of his contract. Doan has been fantastic since coming over from Utah in the summer. The thing, though, I want to really point out is 2 of these young former first-round picks in the Buffalo lineup tonight, because I think they're very much worth watching. Noah Ostlund, who is slotted in as their number 4 center, but has been playing up and down for a lot of the time that he's been up. And then Isaac Rosen, who's been on the left side of that line with Ryan McLeod and Jack Quinn. Both these guys have been fantastic in their spot duty with the Sabres. Ostlund has got 3 goals in 11 games. Rosen is up to 3 goals and 6 points in just 8 games. The Sabres are getting these guys coming up, and they're finally starting to make a solid impression. They're pushing guys like Peyton Krebs and Beck Mallenstein and the like to be better. And we're starting to see some of the rewards being reaped in Buffalo. So they're not out of it. They had a bit of a tough start. They sort of endured a long losing streak earlier on this month, and yet, lo and behold, they're still in the mix. So, I wouldn't count out the Sabres. I think they are a better team than they get credit for. On defense, the Sabres without Michael Kesselring for the next little while. He sustained kind of an awkward-looking injury, I think, in that win over Detroit. But Matthias Samuelsson playing on the left side of Rasmus Dahlin on this top pairing. Samuelsson has had a fantastic bounce-back season for Buffalo after a couple of rough ones on a big contract there in upstate New York. Samuelsson's got 8 points in 17 games. He's averaging over 20 minutes a night. He's played extremely well. Owen Power, Jacob Bryson, the second pairing right now with Kesselring out, and Bo Byram with Connor Timmins on pairing number 3 over in Buffalo. It's a really interesting group. And as we mentioned, Colton Ellis will get the start tonight. The Sabres with 3 goaltenders on their roster at the moment, Ellis as well as Alex Lyon and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And the latter of those 3, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen has an .883 save percentage. He's essentially their number 3 goaltender at this point for the Buffalo Sabres. It's really been a bit of a rotation between Lyon and Ellis more recently. So that's something to watch, because this Ellis kid, they claimed him off waivers from the St. Louis Blues at the start of the year. He's done extremely well in his limited duty. So it's not a Sabres team to be taken lightly. And to answer Kent Wilson's question earlier in the chat, our buddy Kent, yeah, Buffalo was playing Tage on the wing. There were concerns about, not maybe being the best to handle the defensive responsibilities. And so they had a real strange mix of guys that they were, deploying down the middle. And now they've put Tage back there, and it seems like it's gotten him skating a little bit more. But apparently it's actually like the reasoning that was explained to me by one of my Buffalo friends was that it was actually Tage's preference to be playing on the wing for the start of the year. And now Lindy Ruff has shifted him back to center, and it seems to have done quite well for him. Everybody saw that play against Detroit in overtime the other night where he shoved Alex DeBrincat off the puck and set up Samuelsson for that OT winner. That's the kind of play that we've seen so often from Tage in recent seasons that has made him one of the most exciting young forwards in the National Hockey League, and a guy the Flames sure wish they had. So that's a look at the other side here tonight. Tage, Tuck, Dahlin, Doan. I mean, I think it merits restating. The Sabres are looking okay on that J.J. Peterka trade right now that they made with Utah over the summer. Peterka obviously playing in a bit more of a free-flowing system over in Utah, although lately Utah has been really falling off the map. Doan has been just terrific in the early stages of his Buffalo tenure, up to 12 points in 19 games, averaging just a ton of shots on goal. And I really like that fit on a line with Tage. You want a guy who can really get the puck into dangerous areas and do things on the forecheck. That's kind of Josh Doan's bread and butter, and has been since his days down in Arizona, both with the Coyotes and with the Sun Devils. So he's legit. I think the Flames are going to have their hands full with that Sabres top line tonight. Some good stuff in the chat tonight. People are talking about the Hawaii chair incident from last night, and if you're not attuned to that, I highly recommend you go check out the last night's Afterburner with myself and with Cammie, because it was a special show after last night's 5-2 loss at the hands of the Chicago Blackhawks. The Flames have fallen to 5-13-3, and no amount of Hawaii cheering will size you up for thinking that they're a contending team at this juncture, or at least not even one move away from being a contending team. Interesting to see the continued projections at the top of the draft. And there's something really interesting going on tonight in the Canadian Hockey League. In the WHL, it's the Iggy Bowl. And some folks in the chat are already making note of this. You might want to keep tabs on this as the Flames game is going on tonight. It is the Oil Kings against Kelowna. And that is Tej against Joe. Joe Aginla is one of the many prospects available for the upcoming 2026 NHL draft. We don't expect he'll go as high as Tej did, who went 6th overall, speaking of Utah. But Joe is having a real nice start to the season. The thing that always gets me, though, watching Joe Aginla highlights, and go check him out on Twitter, there's lots of them. It is so weird to me to see an Aginla who is one of the shortest guys on his team. Joe's only 5'10", and that might contribute to him maybe not being as highly touted of a prospect at the end of the day or at the end of the year. But he's a mighty player. I mean, the Oil Kings, I grant you, they have a lot of good players. They've gotten off to a tremendous start this year. He's 5th on his team in scoring. But still, I mean, 10 goals, 20 points in 24 games. This is a really good player. And don't forget, the Hitmen had a chance to draft Joe Aginla, and they didn't. So maybe the Flames can atone for that come this summer. Wouldn't that be nice? Maybe they can get something out of that Noah Hannafin trade after all, if that pick ends up being around where Joe Aginla is expected to go. Wouldn't that be something? So, and hey, Matt C., one mind, buddy. You just said it. Will Joe be around our Vegas first-round pick? Maybe, man. Like, it's entirely possible. I mean, the thing is, if you look just purely based off the stats and the height and the frame and whatnot, and the fact that he's a winger, I don't necessarily think we're going to see Joe necessarily even be a lock to go in the first round. But I think if he's there near the end of the first round and the Flames are up, why not take him? You know, all other things being equal, right? So, and Jux JC being a bit of a Debbie Downer saying, or draft a piece we need, not just a Nepo baby for being a Nepo baby. Okay, Jux JC, but still, I mean, if he projects to be one of the top players available, the other thing with Joe that's worth considering, he's pretty young for his draft year, August 13th, 2008. I mean, the whole thing with Tej is sort of the same thing. He was one of the youngest players for his draft year. Both of them are born in August. I wonder if Jerome did that on purpose. I wonder if Jerome and Kara were like, we need our sons. We need them to be as late as possible just so they can have all the extra time for their development. If it wasn't on purpose, boy, it sure feels that way with them both being August birth dates. And it really does have a big influence. You know, you see these guys who are born late September and they essentially have already had an additional year of development time over these other kids who were born the following August, and they're all eligible for the same draft. So it is absolutely a factor. I mean, you look at Byron Bader's model. Bader, we've had in the studio, we've had on the show, and one of the biggest factors in his model and a lot of other models out there is age at draft. And it's a big thing. So somebody in the chat saying, Fubar saying Joe is projected to go to the mid to late second as it stands. Absolutely true. It is true. I remember when the 24 draft was coming up and Tej started the year consensus in the 30-40 range, and he ended up going 6th. So I'm not saying Joe's going to go on as big of a heater and his size is going to be, you know, maybe a bit of an obstacle in that sense, but I think he's going to be a legit prospect, and wouldn't it be awesome to see the Flames get him? That would be fantastic. We got a little bit more to talk about as far as today's game involving the Flames against the Buffalo Sabres, and we're going to go back over to Sports Interaction to chat a little bit more about the goaltenders, because we've got this all queued up. It is a very interesting goaltending matchup tonight. Devin Cooley against Colton Ellis. Goalie saves and goals against. The over-under for the goals against for both goaltenders is set at 2.5. And for saves, for Ellis set at 25.5, and for Cooley set at 24.5. I'll be honest with you, folks. I really like both the goaltenders in this game. I think Devin Cooley is a great story. I think he might be a guy the Flames look to keep around. I think we might be due for a little bit of regression from number one for the Flames. So I would maybe go the over on Cooley's line tonight. But your mileage may vary. I'm not going to try and prognosticate, say the Flames are definitely going to win or definitely going to lose. I just wonder if we might see the Sabres look like the hungrier team tonight and come out guns blazing a little bit. That's my expectation a little bit because they're riding a little bit high. But by the same token, Cooley has a decent track record over the last year or so of going on these incredible hot streaks. And maybe that's just what he's on right now. Maybe he's just a totally on fire, and the Sabres will get stonewalled. I, however, would definitely say, as far as the shot props go, always go up on the Flames. They generate a ton of shots, and I don't think tonight's going to be any different. That's just sort of something to look at. There's lots to look at over at Sports Interaction, but I think the goalies are really the big story here tonight. I think I'm really interested to see what these two teams can do, and especially the men between the pipes. Folks, remember, every game is your game when you bet with Sports Interaction. Get on the action with parlay boosts, live betting, and easy deposits and payouts. Bet now at sportsinteraction.com/FlamesNation. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. They're a trusted Canadian brand since 1997. I'm a trusted Canadian since 2000. Something like that. I don't know if I'm necessarily trusted. I am Canadian since 2000. That's true. Yeah, this is my last Warmies show as a 24-year-old. Be 25 this weekend. Of course, we already mentioned on yesterday's show how Sports Interaction got us all the gear as gifts. Really appreciate it. Some folks in the chat sort of throwing some interesting props out tonight. Zary goal tonight, says Jux JC. Morton from Beecher, first goal. Maybe Beecher will get his own first as a Flame. I don't know. The Flames, the strange things have happened historically when the Flames have gone into Buffalo. There have been some weird things that have happened over the years in that arena as far as the Flames are concerned. Of course, Matthew Tkachuk, way back when, scored his first NHL goal, not in Buffalo, but against the Buffalo Sabres back early in the 2016-17 season on a shot from the left circle. Hayden Rustin making a good point. Morton already has his first as a Flame. Very true. Scored it in the season finale last year against the Los Angeles Kings. Shrimp on the Barbie chiming in saying Flames and Sabres should be called the Warner Bowl. I don't know. I think Warner is a little bit too good to be associated with this matchup at this point. But I mean, I don't know. He probably, I mean, Warner has lots to say about the Sabres at all times. As do I. I think they're a fascinating case study, and all I want is to see them succeed. I think it's a cool fan base. I think it's a cool city. I think it's a cool hockey market. And, you know, again, this is an interesting game from a tank perspective. To me, it's also an interesting game just hoping to see Buffalo, you know, find it. And so, you know, I wouldn't object to seeing the Flames win tonight. I think they have lots of guys who I'd love to see get going. I would love to see Igor score. I would love to see Connor Zary score. I would love to see Farabee score. But ultimately, we are going to be doing a lot more of these shows, and the long-term goal always sort of exceeds the short-term results, right? So that's sort of one way to put it. Can Trader Inc. saying this is the Rob Ray Bowl. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one, pal. I don't remember Rob Ray playing for the Flames. I might be wrong. I think he played for Ottawa at the end. I don't think he played for the Flames. This is more like the Chris Butler Bowl. I would call this the Chris Butler Bowl, if anything. That, I think, is the apt description of this game between the Flames and the Buffalo Sabres. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in for this slightly pregnant version of the Warmies. I appreciate you hanging out in the chat before the start of the show. As I was trying to make my way to the studio and avoid getting sandwiched between a Kia Soul and a Toyota Corolla. We appreciate all that. It was tough sledding out there tonight. And you know, it's maybe the Flames can pull something out, squeeze through the same way that I did to get to the studio here tonight. Our thanks to Sports Interaction. Our thanks to Michael producing from afar once again tonight. Our thanks to everybody in the chat. And hey, let's just check in one more time before we sign off. Now live over at Capital One Arena in DC. It is Washington leading the Edmonton Oilers by a 3-2 score of a multi-goal game by Darnell Nurse in the first period as we all expected. And if that's going to set the stage for the rest of the night, screw it. Yegor's going to score a hat trick tonight. Maybe something like that. We'll leave it at that. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been another edition of Sports Interaction Show here at Flames Nation, the Warmies.
Hey, buddies. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Also, if you could throw in a like and subscribe, it does help us out with what it is we are doing. And check out more at flamesnation.ca.